Time to go outside, everyone, says Discord. Think we're going back on.
Rock. Here's a cover for you. Another one
The
here.
Missing says, great interview with Tim Truth. Let's go look at that one.
Always liked.
Checking out some Chief Crow here. Okay, yes, Tim Truth and Tim Osmond decoding. Oh, yes, that's the one. Decoding the mystery of the ISS. Yeah, that whole thing with the ISS, I've been right about this. I would have been talking about it, but we've been offline. But as I predicted in the book Metascript Decoded last year, there'd be a split with ISS and Russia and America no longer being friends. It'd be a crack in the sky in this flying castle, a schism, a break apart. And sure enough, the Russian media actually posted the RIA. They posted a video that shows the Russians getting into their own little section and then breaking apart from the ISS, going their own way. Take a listen. If you're watching the screen, this is Russia threatening the International Space Station with the fake video. Now they have to say fake because people will not know that this is CGI because it's indistinguishable from what they show you as, quote, real. So this is Russia leaving this ISS in this simulation. Okay, and as you can see, the Russians have left the space station. Just like that. We broke up. There you have on the right the cosmonauts, there on the left the ISS. The ISS splitting apart. And I said this in the book that the 42-year mark from Skylab falling, you would see a falling apart and a schism and a fracture along the lines of the space commies versus space capitalism. You've got the space commies teaming up on the moon base with their probably going to be made out of astrocrete, but China and Russia are doing a moon base. And look, now America is going to be kind of on their own here. China's got their own thing. Russia's about to split. And I've been saying that Russia's going to shoot it down. Now they've been talking about letting it fall. 500 tons of ISS landing, hopefully on Seattle. Oh, Ohio. Wouldn't mind that either. But Seattle wouldn't be a bad target. That's what I think they're going to do. And sure enough, they said, yeah, we could drop it. But now, and this actually, let me go back a little bit here. In the summer, they had reported actual physical cracks in the ISS, like fissures. And I said, look, it's all signifying that the Russians are going to split. And here you have it. Russian media putting out a video suggesting that Russia is going to split. Discord is still down, by the way. I believe I can access the voice. Let me go ahead and go into Discord voice and see if anybody's in there. Okay, I'm in Discord voice. I know the chat isn't working. Can anybody hear me? Nope. Okay, messages are failing to load. So a lot of Discord users are touching grass right now. Okay, the audio is working, by the way. Hey, let's look into some unbelievable news, but the masses will believe it because they believe everything. Volva spacecraft concept aims to disrupt the space industry with a powerful message. Now, I thought this was a joke. I thought this was Babylon B, but then again, I thought Bezos' rocket was a joke. The accelerated advancement of space tourism, together with the expansion of the space industry in multiple areas around the world, is leading to all types of innovations. What may seem just like another design alternative for spacecraft is actually a feminist symbol that wants to become a game changer. Now, do you remember when they were talking about how Jeff Bezos's rocket looked like the thing? And then they started talking about how his workplace is so sexist. Well, I think This is kind of what they're trying to do here is they're trying to suggest that the women need to have, well, not women, when I say cisgendered, because there's so many assumptions built into stuff. But anyway, they say here, Dr. Hartman says the inventor of the spacecraft says the V shape makes it surprisingly aerodynamic, less drag than conventional spacecraft. It'd be made of reinforced carbon, allowing it to withstand extreme temperatures. So there's a group that's raising signatures right now, and they're hoping that the ESA will actually make this thing happen. I thought this was a joke, like I said, but let me go ahead and pull up the video of it because until I saw the video, I thought this has got to be some hoax article. But no, I watched the video, and again, I have to advise those who are believers in outer space and stuff that this is going to be a simulation I'm about to play. And you can't tell the difference between a simulation and the real thing anymore. And this is one of the reasons why I think when it comes to space movies like Moonfall, which I just watched, I think this is one of the reasons why it looks so fake when they do their rocket launches in the movies. Because what they don't want is they don't want you confusing the two. They have to make sure that the movies are about 20% faker than what they show you on the news. Okay, I'm going to go pull up this video. I didn't want to have to go here, but I'm going to go here. Again, this is the Volva spacecraft concept. It's real, and the ESA is probably going to do it. Okay, here we go. Feminist organization seeks to support this design. A German feminist art group. This is from Die Zine. So the group WBF, which stands for, and this is a German group, Who Needs Feminism. They put this together. So they're the ones responsible for this. Now they're missing something though. I mean, we can get into the nuance here, but the truth is, the space agency, and if you're looking at the screen, this is what we're talking about. Um, Bezos' rocket's resemblance to a what is not a coincidence. It is quite literally Mystery Babylon. It is a fertility cult. So when I'm looking at this stuff, I'm like, wait, these people they're right. They're righter than they know. Let me go ahead and play the video, and then we'll go on from here. Again, this is only a simulation. But strangely, one more thing before I play this video, it looks realer than what we've been shown from SpaceX as of late. I've seen videos on YouTube and in Twitter of the Starship landing, and people think it's real until somebody tells them it's not real. They have to be told this. And I look at it and I'm like, I can't tell. It looks just as real as the other thing, but the difference is the camera is what gives it away. You see, when you're dealing with a gigantic tower landing on the Earth by blasting its engines on the bottom, there's this heat that you would expect to be beneath it. Right below the rocket, you would melt if you were just right below it. Yet we get these views of the rockets that you couldn't get with a drone camera because the drone camera would totally melt. But we get those, and that's usually the giveaway it's a hoax, or it's fake, or it's a simulation. JT33 says, I'm tired of dong rockets. Vagina rockets are much more appealing. Well, this is actually called a Volva spaceship. Let's be scientific here. This is what they called it. Again, this is from a German feminist group. This is not real. Don't let your space-bleeding friends get confused. But this could be real.
Oil and electricity prices are soaring, and the climate crisis is threatening our very existence. Meanwhile, billionaires are flying into space in rockets shaped like male genitalia.
So billionaires are flying into space in rockets shaped like male genitalia. Okay. Cis male. Now, again, what are we looking at here? This is not a coincidence. This is Osiris. It's not even a joke. They joke about this in the news. I remember William Shatner was joking to Anderson Cooper about how he was going to inseminate the space program, as though that makes any sense. It makes no sense. unless you know what you're actually looking at. The thing is, the reason they don't have the female counterpart is that the goddess is actually represented by the night sky, Isis. So these feminists have it all wrong, but let's go ahead and play this.
For us, this raised some very important questions. Shouldn't space be for everyone? And is a phallic-shaped rocket really the best way of getting there? We want to restore gender equality to the cosmos, so we've decided to revolutionize space travel forever. Introducing the Vulva Spaceship. Together with scientists and space engineers, we have developed the first spaceship shaped like female genitalia. Tests in our wind tunnel have revealed that our unique vulva design is far more effective than traditional rockets.
So it's far more effective. Yeah, anyway, this is an actual feminist organization, so I didn't make this up. It's so divorced from reality. I thought it was a parody, but then every time I watch SpaceX, I'm like, is this real or is this a parody? Like when they sent that Tesla Roadster into space. Can you say that was any less ridiculous than this? And it's all just theater anyway.
We aim to lobby the European Space Agency, encouraging them to help realize this project. To do this, we need 500,000 signatures pledging support for our cause. Please sign the petition and share the project so we can show the world that...
Yeah, I would sign your petition, lady, but my pen is shaped like a dong rocket. You know, if I had a pen shaped like one of your V spaceships, maybe. Unbelievable. Yeah, this is one of these things where, is it real? Is it fake? Is it parody? The real stuff seems parody. It's at some point recently, perhaps, maybe within the last 2 years, parody became mainstream. Or parody became real, and real became hate speech. Yes, if you're real, if you point out facts, they hate the word fact more than they hate the word flat. More than they hate the word fake. JT33 says this has to be a joke. Well, you know what? I guarantee you they're going to have 500,000 feminists signing it. But what if feminism was just a joke? All right, let's see here. Oh, by the way, the NASA group, or actually it wasn't even a group from NASA, the group that was tracking the space junk that hit the moon, they actually reported that, yes, it hit the moon, but we're not going to know because it hit the dark side, the far side of the moon. Mr. Gray, who runs Project Pluto, there's that word again, Pluto, the name. See, Pluto returned on 2/22/2022 on a Taco Tuesday. And now we have this. Project Pluto was the company that was tracking the space junk that hit the moon. So that's interesting. And the significance of Pluto is Hades. And Hades creates and releases the Kraken. Discord is back online. Okay, excellent. Discord is back. False alarm, it's not back. Space junk just dug a big new crater on the moon, astronomers say. Yeah, you know what would be great? Is if they just said, hey, look, there's a new crater on the other side of the moon. And when we go there, we're going to have to go over it. So we're going to need to build a bridge across this crater. And they could get people, they'd get you, or the taxpayer, to buy a bridge on the far side of the moon to cross this new 65-foot wide crater. What a scam. And I saw something else about NASA is examining or opening up some container with moon dust in it. And I'm like, or a piece of the moon. I'm like, wait, what is that? Because every moon rock they brought down has been petrified wood. So what are we looking at here? That's the reason why NASA keeps such tight control over all of the moon rocks. Woman sues NASA over moon dust. Yeah, they really control this stuff. This is like a controlled substance, the moon dust. And the reason why is that you might find out it's sawdust. So what are we looking at here? Look at this here. NASA has a history of seizing lunar material from citizens. They have a SWAT team that goes around collecting bits of the moon. And it's because what? They don't want you to find out that the moon is made of wood? Or they don't want you to find out that the landings were probably hoaxed. I mean, take your pick. Look, if you're a moon landing believer, and I suspect many of the newbies here are, the randoms in the chat, the moon's made of wood by your science because they brought back moon rocks that turned out to be petrified wood. Look for yourself. Moon rocks, petrified wood. And this isn't a conspiracy theory. This is from phys.org. The Dutch National Museum made an embarrassing announcement last week when one of its most loved possessions, a moon rock, turned out to be fake. Just a piece of petrified wood that's never been near the moon. This was given to the former Prime Minister in 1969 by Armstrong, Collins, and Aldrin. So these three astronauts give the Prime Minister there a moon rock, and it's been on display for decades. How many people have been lied to about this? This is like a holy relic in their religion, and they believe this stuff. So if you believe people landed on the moon, then you therefore must believe that the moon is made out of wood. So you got your wooden moon. Anyway, the wooden moon was hit by a piece of space junk a little while ago. That was my point. Let's see here. Anybody following this drama with? Oh, let's get into this. Pete Davidson. Kanye West did a video where he simulated killing Pete Davidson, and I'm like, Kanye West is uncomfortably close to this whole Kardashian O.J. Simpson drama, that whole side of the PSYOP entertainment complex. And I'm wondering, is Kanye going to go OJ? Is Kanye going to go drive off into the sunset in a white Bronco after dealing with this Pete Davidson thing? And I remember it was about a few months ago, O.J. Simpson was let loose, and I thought, O.J.'s on the loose. Maybe there's a story here. And then Kanye's walking around with that white mask looking like he stepped out of the movie Halloween, like Mike Myers, the Knife Man. And this was a real ominous Halloween season. You had Sir David Ames getting knifed 17 times. You got Drakeo the Ruler knifed in the neck backstage at Out of Time in Los Angeles. Anyway, look at this picture here of Kanye West in an orange jacket next to Elon Musk wearing a black shirt with an orange on it. What does this mean? Well, I don't know it yet specifically, but I'm leaning towards something having to do with maybe we're going to see another O.J. Simpson-like episode.
Here's a weird question for you.
That's what I'm thinking. Also, I want to bring this out. Pete Davidson lost his father on 9/11, and this is the guy who stole Kim Kardashian. And Kanye's acting very psycho about this whole thing. He's dating basically what they were calling a Kimitator. Kanye West confirms new romance with Kim Kardashian clone, basically. I'm like, wait a minute here. They're calling her a Kimitator. More of this bizarre mirroring. Everything's got a mirror. There's so many twins. And if you didn't follow this, at the very beginning of February, on the 2nd, so on 2/2/2022, a 22-year-old was shot by the police. His name was Amir Locke, because the police had a no-knock warrant. So the name Locke has significance here. They shoot him right there on his couch at 6:48 a.m. Well, put that up to a mirror. 648, 846. So another Twin Cities killing by the police was George Floyd. Kneeled on for 846. So you got 846, a mirror of 648. The guy's name is a mirror. Twin Cities. So this is where it really started. So I'm just suggesting here that we're looking at some kind of psyop in progress, and the fact that he's got this mirror thing attached to it kind of stands out. But anyway,
Fucking.
Pete Davidson, I actually don't want to play this. It's crazy when you listen to it. Maybe I'll have the subtitles on. You know, Bob Saget made these jokes about basically raping and killing children. I mean, you've probably heard Bob Saget's so-called jokes. Pete Davidson's just as bad. And so this is like Club Pizzagate. I'm not a Pizzagator. You know, I don't believe in that stuff. But if you're a Pizzagate investigator, look into Pete Davidson. Pizza Davidson. I almost don't want to play some of the stuff that he says here. So this is a video on a channel called Everything Comedy. Pete Davidson talks about losing his father. So he talks about losing his father, but what he actually talks about is it's just borderline. What do you want to call this? It's just so disgusting. Everything today just. Let me just play this line. It's not as bad. I mean, this is worse than that
Sat on my
rocket.
face naked or nothing.
Right after.
Okay, yeah, this is worse than the rocket we were just talking about. But this is Pete Davidson talking about his father who died on 9/11.
With mine, like once or twice. Like, I didn't get all these moments. I imagine everybody's like, that's not what you do with your dad, dude.
But
He never sat on my face naked.
Okay, that's Pete Davidson having this gross conversation that's supposedly comedy about his dad. Again, just typical SNL. And you know, no, look, SNL is just full of psychos. But you know who never really got his comeuppance was Jimmy Fallon. Wasn't Jimmy Fallon and his buddy Horatio Sands involved in grooming young girls? Horatio Sands' lawsuit is an explosive story about SNL. Yeah, this is the one where Jimmy Fallon was named in this Horatio Sands sexual assault thing. Total side note, but yeah, SNL is run by a bunch of perverts, if you didn't know. Horatio Sands' accuser takes the stand. Look, this is crazy. Takes aim at the entire cast. So it's not just him. And this is how it is with all these news agencies. You think that Don Lemon is the only weirdo on that set? No, and you can just tell. Look, I could look at this picture and I could tell you, okay, don't let them babysit. Jimmy Fallon and Horatio Sands at Elle magazine party in 2002. But yes, there's a Jane Doe who's revealed that a bunch of after parties took place where they were hanging out with people who are too young. Let me go through some comments. Discord is back, says 12K. I don't think it's back. God was bored, says SNL has always been disgusting. We just never noticed. Yeah, and it was never funny, and a lot of us didn't notice right away. You know, I look back at this stuff and I just think, yeah, we were turning a blind eye, or you know what it might have been. It's just the fact that we have the internet now allows us to communicate with one another. Like, hey, did you see something? Yeah, I saw it too. All right, let's see what else we have here. It's been a few days, so I have a lot of catching up to do. We had a costume change, PPE into military uniforms. All the anti-vax experts are now foreign policy experts. And just like that, Putin cured COVID. Thanks, Putin. Shout out to Putin for changing the media's priorities, because it's all just a mind virus. Weaponized hypochondria. OB Ninja says, yay, back on. Yeah, we're keeping this on, this chat and the 24/7 stream, in case Discord goes down. This is kind of an informal live stream hangout, just to make sure that we're all on the same sheet. If you're not on the text message alerts, go to infiniteplane.radio and sign up. Hillman Avenger says, the only real wisdom is knowing you know nothing. Yeah, imagine if you knew everything about 9/11 truth and 9/11 in 2010. You would have known nothing, because it would have taken a few more years for all the facts to come out to show that there were no planes. Fruits, yeah, says this man is spitting facts. Yep, watch the chat too. 9/11 was a hoax, and they call it a false flag because they want to change the dynamic. This is key here. No other channel will say this. Alex Jones and all these mainstream conspiracy channels won't say this. They'll say it's a false flag. No, it's a hoax. And here's the difference. If you say it's a false flag, you're meaning that it actually happened, but someone else did it, aka a false flag. This implies victims, dead people, and a victimizer, the bad guy. Well, my point is this. If you remove the victims and replace them with crisis actors, then your bad guy is merely a scapegoat red herring. And in this case, in the case of a hoax, the only victims are the viewers. You're the casualty of a psywar. The media is the victimizer. So, yes, you would know nothing if your frame of reference was given to you by establishment-approved conspiracy theorists who hide the fact that they're using theater and stagecraft, not actual violence in these provocative events. Diana South says, new user guidelines, Discord will no longer be for free-thinking, accurate observers of reality. Yep. This is happening on my phone. I'm getting all these blue and yellow apps coming up. This is how I knew the thing was a psyop. Look, if something is led with some kind of a hashtag and something for your profile pic, it's probably a psyop. If all the NPCs suddenly change their profile pic and they're all in solidarity, yeah, it's probably a psyop. I saw on my phone, I have this app, it's called Speechify, and I sort of recommend it. I love hate it because you can just take a picture of something, as in a photo of a book, and it'll read it to you. So if you don't have an audiobook version of a book, or you have to listen, you have some boring instructions to read, you just photograph it with Speechify, and then Speechify will read it to you. Well, my Speechify app turned blue and yellow for Ukraine. And I don't support Ukraine. I don't care at the moment. So I'm like, well, I don't approve of this. But anyway, Speechify is a great app, except it's read in the voice of Gwyneth Paltrow, if you don't mind that. By the way, Gwyneth Paltrow and Alex Jones have something in common. Let me bring this up. So, Gwyneth Paltrow and Alex Jones are both selling the same exact supplements. He calls his Super Male Vitality, and she calls hers Scented Sex Scoop. Gwyneth Paltrow and Alex Jones are healing America's political divide. They're not that different after all. So, I mean, it's not even a new story. This has been known for some time. It's just white labeled products. So, he gets his Super Male Vitality extract from the same supplier. So you're basically looking at the same stuff, but it's sold through two very different personas. And my point being, these are the same. Alex Jones is just as mainstream as Gwyneth Paltrow. But they don't want you to know that. They want you to think he's fringe. Let me go through some comments. Art of Thinking Out Loud says, like all the fake dead people in body bags moving around to film crews being exposed on TikTok. Yeah, I've seen some of that. And even without that, because I've seen music videos being released as fake news, or people are mistaking fake news for real fake news. Because you have fake news that the public believes in. Then you have fake news, which is what the fake news does to fake out the people calling out the fake news. So you got to make sure that you're vetting all the info properly. Charles Wilhite says, Tim, you should interview Maria7777. She's the female you. All right. I will take a look. Post a link, by the way. Post a link in the chat. I'm always looking at new channels, and you can also post it in Discord. Jungle Jim says, first ever official artwork being sent to the moon later this year. Second version in NFTs to be sold immediately after. You know what? Someone here should just sell the moon as an NFT before somebody else does. Make the moon into a non-fungible token and put it up at a very high price, and then get one of your friends to buy it or mark up the. This is what they do. I think they call it bid washing. Melania Trump did this. Bid washing. I didn't even know what this was until I read about Melania doing it. Basically, what they do is they buy an NFT from themselves, pretending it's not themselves, and then it artificially inflates the price. Melania Trump and the art of the NFT grift. Yes, Melania Trump is an NFT grifter, and she was exposed purchasing her own art for $185,000. Did Melania Trump buy her own NFT at an auction? The winning bid auction came from a virtual wallet that belongs to the same organization that launched the product. The former First Lady starting the auction last month, offering a public chance to own artwork of non-fungible tokens. Well, she funged that one. That one was fungible. Anyway, she's a scam artist. No surprise here. Look who she's married to. And if you don't think Trump's a scam artist, then you don't know what politicians do for a living. Hackers target 300 Russian websites and offer troops £40,000 to surrender tanks. Why is the media also mixing up so much fake, obviously fake footage with real footage? You get images from years ago. They just flip it and release it. Oh, this is a new bomb. No, that looks like a bomb from 2015. Kind of like Waynell Sexton of mushroom clouds. The same mushroom cloud at every major terror attack. If you don't know, Waynell Sexton's the crisis actress who shows up at every other mass shooting. It's like, how many kids does she have? My Twitter account is Real Tim Osman, and I'm posting a lot of these images there. So, for example, look at this. This is Belgrade 1999, and compare it to Kyiv 2022. Same photo, flipped horizontally. Lazy, lazy Photoshop. But I think this is the standard because we were never able to call it out before. I think that's the key here. We have to understand that the media was never fact-checked until the internet. Really, that's what's prompting this exposure. Because they were always this bad. Crisis actors have always been terrible. Visrut says, "How is you, bro? Thanks for joining." Charles White says, "Alex doesn't take his, Gwyneth does." No, Alex Jones is Bill Hicks. I think we all know this. Ask yourself this question. What's more likely, that Alex Jones is 46 and taking all these very healthy supplements, or that he's 60 and he's Bill Hicks? And just look closely at his face. Does this look like the face of a 46-year-old or a 60-year-old comedian, CIA asset, PSYOP entertainment complex operative? Or did Sex Scoop do that to his face? And do you know how much money Alex Jones made? I think he made $156 million selling Sex Scoop. InfoWars store raked in $165 million over the last 3 years. So here he is begging you, please send me money. I'm being sued by the Sandy Hookers, even though I backtracked and I'm saying that it was actually real, and if you call it a hoax, you're a psychopath. So Jones stabbed all his listeners in the back. He stabbed the truth in the back. Asks for money because he's being sued by these people. He doesn't want to give them any money. And yet he raked in $165 million in Sex Scoop in the last 3 years. How many of you made $165 million in the last 3 years? COVID is really good for InfoWars. Let me see. I'm going through some comments here. Hazel says Discord is back. I don't know. No, it's not back fully. You can log into Discord, but the messages are not loading. Fruits Yeah says, are you a conspiracy theorist or you just talk about the stuff? Well, the mainstream media is a conspiracy theorist. The media itself promulgates nothing but conspiracy theories. There's a 33-year-old conspiracy theory about how the ocean level is going to rise because you're not recycling and you're still burning the dino juice. It's called global warming. And they said that the ocean level is going to rise up and swallow Florida by 2012. Did that happen? No, it was a conspiracy theory. There are many other conspiracy theories we could point out, but they're called conspiracy theories only if they conflict with the mainstream media conspiracy theories. Truth is a conspiracy theory if you go by the MSM's definition. So no, I'm actually I'm a media analyst at this point, I'd say our channel's very philosophical because we're trying to discern reality from deception, from illusion, from misconception. And it seems like our world is run by popular misconceptions deliberately spread through this monolithic media. People are deliberately put into a false worldview. So I'm not the conspiracy theorist for pointing it out. And the conspiracy theorists, so called, are right. And we have been this whole time. That's the reason why they're calling us conspiracists. It's all an attack. They want you to think, oh, if you don't believe the moon landing, you're a racist. Well, I'm sorry, but the moon landings were faked. You can tell by the video. And if you can't tell, then you're visually illiterate. And two, the moon rocks were all made out of wood. So until somebody can explain wooden moon rocks, I don't want to hear their moon conspiracy theories. If you believe we landed on the moon, you are a conspiracy theorist. How about that? Let me play some voicemails. Okay, that guy apparently needs to be rescued from the trunk of his car. Thinks he's a penguin says, I think I made $165 from my couch last year. I spent it on Sex Scoop. Now, did you sell your couch, or was that money morgiled nimbly from between the couch cushions? If you don't know what morgiling is when you get your change from in between the couch cushions. Usually it's a desperate thing. You really need it. Named for John the Morgile, who made his living by couch surfing, an inveterate couch surfer who paid his way through morgiling. Lily Bell says, is this live or is it nuked? Oh, nukes are fake, by the way. There's a white pill for you. So if you were up, afraid, scared for your life all night, can't sleep, doing drills with your family, getting ready for the fallout, getting your masks and all that, look, I'm not with you on that at all. Nukes are fake. Now, they can simulate things, sure. Anything they can do in the movies, they can do on the news. And if they do it on the news, they can convince people it's real. And that's kind of the world we live in. So while I don't think I'm going to be nuked, I won't be surprised if I'm mandated to wear a mask for radioactive fallout. Oh, yeah. You'll put down the COVID mask, but you're going to put on the fallout mask. So don't think that they're going to walk any of this stuff back. A 33-year-old Ukrainian film star killed in Russian shelling. I noticed a number of conspicuous 33s, as always, with all these staged fake events. That's the hoax code. It means they're wagging the dog. But that guy was a voice in the Ukrainian version of Lion King. And so I'll get into that later. But the movie Macbeth and Lion King have some relationship to the present state of the world stage, which we'll go into. Oh, by the way, Pete Davidson's going to space with Jeff Bezos. So he can fly up into space, well, so-called space. It's just a parabolic flight. But he can hang upside down with his mouth open and let Jeff Bezos throw Skittles into it. How many of you watched that? Jeff Bezos apparently brought a pocket full of Skittles, and while they're in space, he's throwing Skittles into the mouth of that 19-year-old who spent $29 million on the ticket. It's the most awkward thing in the world. So here's on the screen. You've got the 19-year-old upside down, and he's awkwardly splayed out. And you'll see here in a moment. It's just, to me, I'm just like, wait, you're going to spend all this money for this view to see the Earth from space, see how fragile it is, see what we're doing to it with all of our consumerism. And no, you're going to spend it awkwardly being a target for Bezos' this little weird Skittles game. Here it is. I mean, like, okay. So, anyway, this is supposedly in outer space. And this was a $29 million thing. It's like being in a crowded elevator for $29 million. Like, I would rather have some kind of subterranean infrastructure built Build me my own Truman Show and make it look like the moon. You could build a moon base for 29 million, but no, you're going to go on a 30-second joyride with all these interesting old people and their weird ideas about what you should do up there. I mean, look at this. It's like zero-G Twister. And there's Bezos. He caught it in his mouth. You got to see this. Look, it's kind of blurry, but he's snapping Skittles out of the air. I guess to prove they're in space. Looks like a frog catching flies. All right, anyway, let's move on. Fruits, yeah, says, do you believe there is space? Finbar says, pedos in space. JT33 seems like a choking hazard. Yeah, imagine if Bezos had choked to death up there. What an embarrassment. This is why I think it's fake. You think they actually sent 90-year-old Captain Kirk to space? If they killed Captain Kirk, it would have killed the space program. Now, if anybody here believes in outer space, I don't have any evidence for it, but please present it. And while you're at it, explain to me why the ESA has a shadow beneath the space station, but none of the other agencies do. Terrifying alien creature found on Sydney streets after massive rain. You know, we've been talking about squids from space. So, about it, this isn't from me either. This is how, look, this is how disconnected from reality the true believer in outer space actually is. So, if you didn't know, the space station is actually filmed underwater when they do the spacewalks. There's a scale model version of it. So you have this occasional thing happen where people will see things in the background, usually bubbles. And you got these guys on YouTube who will say, oh, that's not a bubble, that's a UFO. So anyway, there was a video that came out, and I'll pull it up here. Dragons on the ISS, where these people actually believe that this thing in the background is a dragon in space. Well, I'm sorry, but dragons wouldn't have to flap their wings if they were in space. Wings would be useless in the fictional or hypothetical environment of outer space. But that's the conclusion they run to. But I'm looking at it, and I'm going to bring this video up for you. And it looks like an octopus underwater. So yes, I have a video, which I'm going to show you, of an octopus by the space station. So again, if you rule out that the space station is in space, and you recognize the obviousness of the lighting giving away that this thing is underwater, then what's more likely? Dragon in space or octopus in a pool of water? And what's more, last year Elon Musk was actually sending octopuses into space. I think they sent, or baby squids actually. Which seems to me like maybe it's some kind of an inside joke. Jungle Jim says Shatner can work a crowd better than most. He's fun. Oh yeah, I like William Shatner. I'm not going to believe he went into space until I see some evidence. And what they showed us wasn't evidence. Okay, here we go. Found it. I had to scroll down quite a bit on my Minds account. Mirror Week, Space Squids, Donda 2, and Portals. And then we have this. We have this lady. I have to bring this lady up with the head wound. The face of this disaster. Finbar says first it was mice, now squids. Yeah, you know that the Mousegate thing was never solved either. They never fully explained that one away. Mice on the outside of the space station. And the thing about that one that I can't really get over is that how is it that you can point out something as amazing as a mouse on the outside of a space station and people won't even look at it because it's not supposed to be there? Well, I'm sorry, but it's not supposed to be there. Yeah, but it's there. So are you going to be a denialist about it? And that's kind of what we have here. Reality denialists. Fruits Yeah says, are you a flat earther? I would say no. Well, I mean, when you say flat earther, what are you talking about? Are you a globe earther? Because I would say you're a CGI earther, if anything. And really, there's a question, there's a difference here that you have to acknowledge. There's belief and there is knowledge. Do you know man landed on the moon? Or do you just believe it? And the truth is, you believe it. And then the question is, why do you believe it? I don't believe the earth is flat. I just don't know it has a curve. I haven't seen any curve. If you've seen some curve, show me. If you can show me this curve, just give me a picture or give us an idea of where we can find it. You'll end this entire conversation. You think that people have been questioning the globe for 5 years because of on the internet for no reason, because they're bored, because they want to be laughed at? No, it's the lack of evidence supporting the establishment model. Like, show me the global warming. Show me the ocean levels rising. Have the ocean levels risen up at all? No. So, are you a global warmist? If you're a global warmist, where's your evidence? You may believe the earth is getting warmer, but you don't know it. And the fact is, the scientists recognized this and they said it's not getting warmer, so let's call it climate change. They changed it to climate change because it wasn't obviously getting warmer in any way that they can continue to blame on the capitalist. And that's a whole other hoax we could get into. Let me play the next message.
Hey, brother. I knew you years ago. I was on your show. I heard you with Tim Truth. Good friend of mine, man. I love that man. This is level-headed. Probably don't remember me. But I listened to a portion of your show. I'm just starting it. You know, I thought you'd like drop off the edge of the earth, right? But here you are. You still exist. And
Yeah, I'm glad I went on to Tim Truth's show because this channel has been censored more than 100 times on YouTube. And I use the word censorship loosely, but yeah, we've had more than 120 channels taken down because someone else has claimed trademarks and copyright over my voice. Yes, over my voice. And YouTube has aided and embedded in this identity theft, and I'm presently in a legal dispute with YouTube. I'm waiting on a response, but basically we're going to court over identity theft. So anyway, a lot of people in the last few years have lost touch with the channel. They thought that I quit. They thought I disappeared. No, I've been here this entire time, but they wouldn't let you know this. Let me go ahead and play the rest of this message.
yeah, I heard that thing about the helicopter and the atmosphere and everything. I've got 6 years of engineering college behind me now. I got a degree. I know this shit. I know it really, really well, man. It doesn't fucking jive with the water, man. So you're screwed. Yeah, you're screwed with the binoculars. Fuck you. So, anyways, I just want to say hi. I was really, really happy to hear you. I heard your voice. I dropped into Tim Truth late in the show, and I'm like, I know this guy. It's been a long time, man. You screwed, got us, got.
Yeah, hey, he's right about this though. This is level-headed. Binoculars P900 destroyed the story about how boats go over the horizon. If boats don't go over the horizon, what's your evidence for your curve, people? Lily Bell says, Tim doesn't have a good attorney. I don't need an attorney. Cyber squatting is not a trial thing. It's a damage complaint. And I did a 24-page damage complaint. I already went through the district court and boom, it's in. I just got to find his address and collect. I need to get rid of execution, have him disclose his assets. That's easy. And then two, identity theft, that's a federal thing. I've already talked to the FTC, I talked to the FBI, and this guy has committed felonies, fourth-degree felonies, 60 instances, 400 instances of perjury if you look at every false DMCA complaint. So there's nothing I need to do. I'm just going to sit back and let the process deal with him. And for those who don't know, the reason why this channel has been incredibly hard to find is that there was somebody hired by, and this is just a fact, hired by the U.S. government to screw with this channel. And I doxed the person, and the person is going to end up paying because there are statutory damages for cyber squatting, treble damages if you can prove malice, which I've proven. And anyway, if it's even close to my estimate, it's going to be enough to keep the channel on. It'll keep the lights on for the rest of the time that I do this, and I'm planning on doing this for 30 years. Lily Bell says, Tim, you need an attorney. What do you know, Lily? Every attorney I've talked to has said you don't have a case. I've had attorneys say, oh, you don't have a case. You don't have a registered trademark with the USPTO. It's like, what are you talking about? I have established it in commerce internationally for years, and I can prove malice, and I also have an admission, a confession. So I went above the heads of the attorneys that you would recommend that I go to, and I went straight pro se litigant, and I got it through. So I don't think I need an attorney. Who to give what to? It's like, okay, here we have statutory damages, 35 stolen domains, registered 3 times, treble damages, statutory damages in New York. I think it could be more than 10,000 a domain. So how much of this money should I give to some guy to tell me something that I don't need to know? This isn't a criminal thing. Now, if it's a criminal thing, I would never go without an attorney, but I don't commit crimes. This is civil, and the other part of it, again, it's federal crimes he's committed. He's committed wire fraud. I'm going to go ahead and ban Lily Bell if she asks me to get an attorney again. Because unless you're going to call me and give me some information that I don't have, but every attorney has told me, you can't do this. You don't own rights to this. You can't do that. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I doxed Q because I was told by an attorney, oh, you can't get this guy's docs because Gmail will protect it. You need to get a court order. And I'm like, no, I'm just going to do a DMCA subpoena. And the attorney's like, what's that? I'm like, okay, so you don't know. You're an attorney. You don't know what a DMCA subpoena is. Now, I learned about this from CNN. It's an underutilized tool to obtain information sufficient to prosecute an infringer. So this is an article from Lutzker.com. The DMCA subpoena process, an underutilized tool for identifying anonymous infringers. So the attorneys that I went to told me, you have nothing, you lose. And I'm like, no, I'm doing this. And I did this, and I got his docs. So again, I paid a little bit of money in fees here and there, just process, paperwork, faxes. But anyway, my point is I doxed Q. And he's really close to Trump. And when that gets out, it's going to be explosive. And I did this because I don't sit around waiting for people to give me advice. And here I have some anonymous person telling me I need to be told what to do. I'm sorry. Why don't you mind your own business? No offense, Lily Bell. Or David, or whoever you are. All right, let's move on. TheVerge.com, telecoms blackout Northeast Ukraine, power outage reported. Again, all this stuff could be simulated. It's all theater of war. Oh, look at this. We were talking about Moonfall. Well, the movie Moonfall was directed by the guy who did Independence Day. We're talking about Roland Emmerich. Well, he also did a movie called Ark. And Ark is a movie about, as you'd expect, mankind ruins the earth, so we all need to get into some kind of a shelter together. All of the movies on Netflix right now are about space arcs. The movie Wall-E is about a space arc. Keep this concept in mind. Why arcs? Well, look at the characters from Don't Look Up or Moonfall. The one played by Leonardo da Vinci in Don't Look Up. These are Noahs. These are modern day Noahs saying, if you don't mitigate your carbon output, if you don't stop capitalism, the earth is going to sink like the Titanic. The earth is your ark. Spaceship Earth. So man is like, well, we're not listening because we're putting money first. So man's wickedness is going to trigger what? The floods. They've reinvented the Noah myth for a modern age, and they've given you these scientist Noahs. This is the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. And if you look at their iconography, their symbol is the dove. They use the imagery of Noah. They use floods. They use arcs. Noah, science, service, stewardship. Now, Noah in the Bible is represented by the dove because the dove is what shows up after the flood. It's the post-reset symbol. All right, let's see. I'm going through some comments. All right. Look, no offense, Lily Bell, but I've already completed the process. Paperwork's already been filed. I'm not seeking legal advice. I've already made arrangements to collect. So it's like, I don't know where people are coming from sometimes. I don't mean to be annoying about it, but I have someone in the chat begging me to get an attorney, and it's like, again, you're not going to find an attorney that will take on this case. Not at all. And this is what's so annoying about relying on experts or relying on other people. I went to the FBI after death threats, nothing. And there was this one instance in 2018 where I received a threat from the person I'm suing, and the next morning, my Jeep went right through an intersection because the brakes didn't work. Now, I don't know if the brake fluid was drained by coincidence or not, but my point is, police don't do anything except take notes. FBI, they take notes. For all I know, they were shredding everything I brought them. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to find out who this guy is that has repeatedly shut down my channels, that is cyber stalking. I was not going to be able to find this guy through the conventional means. So I went to my own Discord server and I said, let's dox this person. So no, the Infinite Plane Society chat room is what figured out who this person was. That's what it took. FBI couldn't do it. I mean, I've doxed other people. Look, let me just bring this up. Well, I don't really want to. I don't want to give them attention. But there are many anonymous people out there. Like, let's just bring up Darren really quick. Let's go to conspiracies.win. So conspiracies.win is the site of Axo or Axolotl. Now, Axo used to be the top moderator at Reddit for conspiracies. Anyway, Axo was one of my stalkers, and he was constantly messing with my channels, messing with me personally. He pretended to be some Russian girl. Anyway, I doxed Axo. We actually sued him. His business, the place, the IT firm he worked at, they had to change all their phone numbers because I wouldn't leave him alone. Anyway, eventually he left Reddit and he created his own site, conspiracies.win. His real name is Darren Aldridge, and he didn't think I'd dox him after 2 years. I also got his face because he was on a school board, and I managed to find a video of one of these school board meetings where he read the pledge, and that's how I got his face, and I memed him to Timbuktu. So no, I can dox anybody, not anybody, but you can dox anybody, not just me. I'm saying it can be done. Nobody's impervious, and even the best defenses are usually contradicted by some weakness in their circle. Like the guy I'm talking about, yeah, he may be hidden pretty well, but his family's not. His brother's very public, works for Pat Robertson, so it's not like I'm not going to get to him. Maybe it'll be a family Christmas party, a reunion, but at some point he's going to get served. Anyway, let's move on. Tunex says, when do you think the ID of Q will break? Soon. Soon. There are subpoenas going into his inner circle, and I got a video, I got a screen cap that Goldfinch shared once where, look, Q, the person we know of as Q, is in direct communication with Donald Trump Jr. and Ivanka Trump. That alone should raise some eyebrows. Spirit Jordan says, I had a case that no one would touch with a 10-foot pole. I went at it and I won. Good for you. Yeah, look, I don't take a lot of naysayer advice. Charles Wilhite says, I listen to a lot of truthers and they say no one knows the idea of Q. Yeah, look, there's some kind of operation here with Q. It's real. It's a psyop. And this guy's identity was not meant to leak. So we're kind of a problem, if you ask me. It was not meant to leak. Now, the significance of it is this. If Donald Trump is exposed as knowing Q personally, he has no plausible deniability with regard to the 1-6 insurrection thing. Because Q, the biggest QAnon influencer, is behind George News. George News has 300,000 on its Telegram. George News is one of the main QAnon promulgators and instigators. Q sent me that whole thing. And then what's more, and I can prove this too, the whole JFK Jr. coming back to life story comes from Q. Comes from this guy. In fact, I have an admission of it. So I have all my receipts. I got the case ready for the legal system when it comes to the criminal stuff. when it comes to the property rights stuff and the civil stuff, but I also have everything ready for the court of public opinion. The court of public opinion. And think about this too. All of the Trump deranged who hate the QAnoners are going to really have a hate affair with this guy. Take a look at this meme. There was someone in the chat earlier who was kind of incredulous asking, do you think the earth is flat? And it's really not even that. This is a meme. This guy on the left says, with all the conspiracy theories turning out to be true, flat earth isn't looking so crazy. The NPC on the right says, I saw a rover on Mars, you stupid flurf, which is a derogatory term for the already somewhat derogatory flat earther. So, did the person on the right see the rover on Mars, or do they merely believe it? That's what we're getting to. This guy on the left doesn't know what to believe, because he only knows what he knows. The other guy believes what he's told to believe. So we're talking about doubting things. We're not talking about asserting things. The flat earth theory it's not even a theory, it's actually the globe earth, that's a theory. It's not even a model. The flat earth is not a model. It's the absence of a model. It's the question remaining when you've debunked what they've presented you with. It doesn't mean you have something to replace it. Look at this. I Stand With Ukraine has knocked I'm Fully Jabbed off the #1 spot in this week's Virtue Signaling Top 100 charts. And Wear a Damn Mask is now at #3, with Save the NHS slipping to #4. Blame Putin is shooting up the charts, taking #5 from Clap for Heroes. Just your update from the Virtue Signaling Top 100 charts. Okay, let's continue here. We're talking about Discord down. Now, what is this? I got a comment from Skylar Milan in Discord. This is what we do in Discord. We share research, and I'm always aware of the fact that Discord can be shut down at any time. So if there's something really good posted, I save it. I put it over here in my Minds account. So this is from Skylar. Pete Davidson, Illuminati homewrecker, government-approved laughter in the coming social credit system. He says, what does this all mean? Is Pete Davidson going to be sacrificed? Perhaps he could have a fake ritualized death. These characters are sort of golden gods, mythical beings. In the music video, Kanye's wearing an Illuminati coat. That's right. He was wearing that coat. He hates Davidson so much he wants his head on a plate. From a personal level, this could mean Davidson cheated on the Illuminati somehow. Kanye may see Kim as having cheated on him. This could be a message of betrayal and revenge and death. I think it's more of a collective story or symbolic gesture beyond the personal. Who is Davidson? He's primarily a comedian. What has been happening with comedians as of late? They've been falling in one form or another. Joe Rogan, Bob Saget, Joy Behar, Heather McDonald. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, Joy Behar fell on her head. She's like, I've been triple vaxxed, and she hit her head. Just like Heather McDonald. I've been triple vaxxed, hit on her head. So what Skylar is saying here is that this means that in the coming war on memes, it's a death to comedy, death on laughter, a death for laughter. Oh, I see. Because SNL has been killing comedy this whole time. All of these government jesters have been killing the notion of comedy, and they've replaced it with government-approved comedy, which is the antithesis of actual comedy. And so, we're talking about this war on ideas and comedians being promulgators of some of the most touchy ideas, sensitive ideas. That's why you see so many gatekeeper comedians who are there to release conspiracy theories only to laugh at them or to become laughable. You got the Joe Rogans and the Alex Joneses. Why are these comedians out there? Jones being Alex, Jones being Bill Hicks, rather. Well, the comedians are part of this PSYOP entertainment complex. Look at Dave Chappelle. When was the last time Dave Chappelle told a joke? It's a conspiracy theory that Dave Chappelle was ever funny. Because all I hear from Dave Chappelle is psyop reinforcement. During COVID lockdowns, he said, at least there's no white kids shooting up schools. Stolen joke, by the way. I'm pretty sure we said that here. We were talking about the PSYOP entertainment complex isn't going to have any use for these bowl cut shooters. And it's only funny if you believe these things to be real. And he does. He believes these shootings are actually happening, so the joke makes sense. Well, it is kind of funny from that frame of reference. But when you know the school shootings are fake and it's all a psy war, and it's a broader psychological warfare operation intended to not just take your weapons, but it's a war on private property, it's a schism, it's a civil war in the making. It's not comedy, it's agitprop. So Schuyler goes on to say, death to comedy, this ritual will be fulfilled. Oh, interesting, because Pete Davidson's about to go to space. So he's saying, this will be fulfilled in space when Bezos takes Davidson. That's a fascinating point there. There is something going on with this Kanye West thing, and we'll continue to follow this story. Kanye West and his Kimitator, Pete Davidson, and then the Kanye West video where he kills Pete Davidson. And let me bring this just so you know where we're coming from. Pete Davidson, Kanye video. Okay, Kanye West buries Pete Davidson alive in an animated video. Ye music video depicts Pete Davidson burial. So yeah, he has his head on a plate and he buries him alive. So it's a very gruesome video. It's kind of morbid. So now let's go back to also this. Kanye West is at Donde 2 hanging out with Marilyn Manson. And this ties into everything else. Marilyn Manson, obvious Charles Manson, kind of a meme thing that they brought up here. He consciously brings that up here. So when you bring up Manson, you're thinking about these, you have these killings in 1969, inspired by a cult leader, Charles. And by the way, on the anniversary of the Manson killings this last summer, that's when the QAnon killer stabbed his kid 17 times. Not a coincidence. So anyway, it seems like there's a subtext here, where Kanye West goes Charlie Manson on Pete and Kim, and then rides off into the sunset in a white Bronco. And we'll continue along that storyline later on this evening when we take open phones, because there's quite a lot there. Yes, 28-year-old dating a Kardashian, besties with Miley, death threats from Kanye, going to space with Bezos. SNL comedian Pete Davidson joining Bezos. This is all very intriguing. Okay, let's see what else here. Here's one. Kanye releases a video of him holding Pete Davidson's head. Now there's news that Davidson's going to space with Bezos. And then there's a skit of Elon Musk where his head explodes on Mars. Right. Okay, so Pete Davidson dies on Mars. His head explodes on Mars. So here's his head, and there he is with Kanye made out of clay. And I believe his head explodes on Mars. Yep. So he did a skit about Mars where his head explodes. Fascinating. Elon Musk sends Pete Davidson to Mars in a polarizing SNL hosting gig. And this was the gig that aired the night that the space junk from China landed in the Indian Ocean. It actually landed just as Musk took the stage. Rich Flash says, remember when Stephen Hawking died on Pi Day? Right, and isn't Pi Day like the birthday of Einstein or something? There's some Pi Day connections worth looking at. Let me bring that up really quick here. Stephen Hawking's Pi Day. Yeah, because they connect all of these world stage characters together, so that however you look at it, they're all part of the same fictional universe. Hawking's death, Einstein's birth, what does it all mean? Did Hawking die on the day Einstein was born? Is it Stephen Hawking or Hawking's? Sounds like a Mandela effect. Somebody call Brian Stavely. In an unfortunate coincidence, right. How many of you believe in unfortunate coincidences still? Stephen Hawking's death on March 14th coincides with Einstein's 139th birth anniversary, while his birth on January 8th, 1942 had coincided with Galileo's 300th death anniversary. And Hawking and Einstein both lived to 76. So there you have a connection. Galileo, Einstein, Hawking, and a lot of important numbers. Linda Curtis says Stephen Hawking's voice still haunts voice chat. Stephen Hawking had a negative attitude. He said, global warming, climate change will destroy us all, so we might have to go into space, but the universe will collapse on us anyway. And even if it doesn't, and even if we survive that, the aliens will probably kill us. Massive asteroid that has potential danger will pass Earth on Friday. So heads up on Friday, don't look up. How many times have they been wrong? They've been wrong 100% of the time on their incoming asteroid predictions. But they're right on 100% of those things going out. It's a bit of an interesting discrepancy, wouldn't you say? How can they be wrong 100% of the time inbound, but right 100% of the time outbound? Doesn't quite make sense, does it? What is the difference? Well, the difference is you can fact check the inbound. You cannot fact check the outbound. Fire breaks out at nuclear complex as Russian forces move through. These headlines must have been chilling in the pre-auto hoax universe. You know, before people knew that news media could lie, when everyone, there are people out there, actually sadly it's probably the majority, they read headlines like this and their heart skips a beat. They duck and cover. And duck and cover also protects you from COVID, by the way, not just nukes. You ever go to a restaurant and they say, wear your mask until you sit down? Yeah, it's because COVID doesn't go that low. So if you're ducking beneath your desk, it'll save you from school shooters, nuclear holocausts, and COVID. Someone asks if they have verified the moon crater yet, the new moon crater. No, they haven't, but I'm pretty sure they're going to sell us a bridge to cross it. It's a 65-foot crater, they say. It'll take them a little bit of time to verify it, but I'm pretty sure they'll sell us a multi-billion-dollar bridge that we'll never see. How's Dr. Fauci doing these days? Has anyone checked on him? Everyone's so distracted with this whole thing. If I was a world script writer, I would have Fauci die of COVID about now. Yes, Kanye West is dating Kimitators. He's dating Kim clones. You know who he could go date if she's still legal? Is Madonna still of legal age? She looks like she's 16 now. And people have been pointing out that Madonna looks exactly like Kim Kardashian. And yeah, Madonna's starting to look like Kim Kardashian. She's a Kimitator. So Kanye ought to go date her, assuming she's still legal again. How did she do this? Reverse aging? Is it the adrenochrome? Maybe this whole thing has just been an adrenochrome promotion. Anyway, let's move on. There's a bit of a double standard about her and her looks, and she's an aging pop star or whatever, but 60 is not old, in my opinion. We're not talking about age mitigation. We're talking about pumping her face full of stuff, and it changes her very looks. Okay, 33 people killed in a missile strike just hours ago in Chernihiv. This was on 3/3. Why is everyone in the West pretending they're not seeing these horrors, says the tweeter, Ina Sobson. Well, because, Ina, it looks like a hoax. You're telling me 33 people were killed on 3/3? Okay. Now, this is low, even for Fed. Even for Flat Earth Dave, this is low. If you don't like something, what should you do? Burn it? Ban it? Or let it go and let other people think for themselves? So for years, Flat Earthers have been complaining about being censored. Well, here you have David Weiss, Fed, Flat Earth Dave, giving a 1-star review on a book he didn't read. He gave a 1-star review to Kelly Well's new book, Off the Edge. Now, I don't agree with her. I think she's wrong about a lot of things, but her book's actually really good. But David doesn't want you to read it because it'll cut into his app sales. By the way, he stole the app. He was a beta tester for a Flat Earth app, and he stole the app, repackaged it, and he's made over $100,000 off of it. But David Weiss wrote a review with 1 star, which I believe after this, David Weiss's little minion, Brian Stavely, goes live and sends his viewers to her Amazon page and said, basically, give her a bad rating. Here's what David wrote. This book does nothing but gaslight the reality of our world. Earth is testable and provably flat. Well, again, the rating system isn't about whether or not you agree with the person. It's really about quality. But he's doing this because his thinking is, don't look at this. Don't look behind this curtain. It's like, wait a second here. You're just as bad as the Globe gatekeepers. Like, no, don't leave their mind prison. Come into mind prison. It's like, let people think for themselves. Anyway, I messaged her about it, and she let Amazon know. So I snitched on Fed. She said, oh, that's okay. Amazon's blocking reviews on the book. They started actually blocking the reviews right after that. Okay, hey, let's hope the Simpsons were right about this one. This is from an episode of The Simpsons on a date, April the 12th, 2022. Looks like a nuke. So mark your calendar for 4/12. Charlie says, what does docs mean? Oh, docs means to build a dossier, to have your personal information leaked, get all of their documents, and then put them on the internet. Like when I say I doxed Q, it means that I used the DMCA subpoena to find out that the guy that pretends to be Q, the guy behind this JFK Jr. thing, the guy behind George News, the guy who shines Trump's shoes, yeah, I doxed him. His name is Marcus Goldfinch. Research Marcus Goldfinch. And there's big money in it. If you can be the one to bring this, I mean, it's a big story. It's a big lead. You could be the one that exposes Q to the world. You just gotta find someone who will listen. Let them know that he's admitted to, and there's receipts for it all published online. He's admitted to many, many felonies. Going through some comments. Zara says April Fool's Day is another one of their favorite launch days. Well, we're coming up also on the 2nd anniversary, or hoax-iversary of COVID. This Friday, 3/11. 3/11, a big object's about to hit the Earth, they say, but 3/11 is also the 2nd anniversary of this event. How short is this Ukrainian president? I mean, here he is shaking hands with Tom Cruise, and Tom Cruise is looking down on him. Kyiv residents say their relatives in Russia don't believe they're being bombarded. And this is funny. Non-belief is a problem. Imagine that. Non-belief in the war is a problem. Quote, they're just brainwashing people. Residents say family in Russia don't believe their city's under attack. She says her mom believes state-run media is telling the truth over her own daughter. See, isn't that interesting? Imagine if we had that level of skepticism. Hey, there's no bodies. No COVID. No Kung flu. Nobody's falling on their face like they were in Wuhan. No evidence. No chain of causality between that bowl of bat soup and your wife's headache. I mean, everybody has hypochondria. Like, oh, it's COVID. There was no skepticism there, and it would have stopped it. And I'm seeing skepticism like crazy with this thing in Ukraine. So here's a little bit of trivia, but this is probably going to come into play later. Robert Kardashian was an American attorney and businessman who shot to fame as he stood by O.J. Simpson during the trial. He's known for being the ex-husband of Kris Jenner and the dad of Kim, Courtney, Khloe, and Rob. So yes, the Kardashians are really connected to that event. And here's some Metascript for you. Joker Sarneff from the Boston bombing gets his death penalty reinstated the day Batman comes out. 3-4. What are the odds? What are the odds? Batman and Joker. They play this Batman-Joker dialectic all the time with the psyops. Here's another Tom Clancy novel that has predicted the future. A 1986 Tom Clancy novel envisioned Russia provoking World War III. And we'll talk about this one tonight and how it ended. Russia releases a video of the space station breaking apart. Again, if you read my book, The Metascript Decoded, and I'll put a link in the chat, themetascript.com, you would have known this story a year ago. You would have known about this. It says, we're not exactly sure where they're headed. This is again from Futurism. We're not exactly sure what Russia's space agency is threatening the US with, but they seem to be alluding to something. And here's that video from earlier, where you can see the Russian segment detaching from the ISS. And yes, I called it here in a book. I published it when I did. I wanted to wait. I had more to add, and I would have spent more time editing and other things, adding more pictures, but I wanted to get this out so I could show that I'm actually predicting things based off predictive programming. JT33 is suggesting that Tom Cruise was standing on a box in that picture. You know who else does that? Matt Pizzagates. You got to look at Matt Pizzagates. He's like 7'5" in all of his pictures, but he's 5'7" in reality. Okay, we'll be back later, open phones and all that. There's a whole lot going on today. So the Discord server is back on, from what I can tell. So I'll be back, open phones, later today. I'm going to leave the 24/7 on. This is Chief Crow and the Flat Earth Worms. I'll do a replay, so if you just showed up late, catch the replay. Get on the newsletter. This is Auto Hoax.
I'm on Auto Hoax, and it feels so good. You just auto believe everything like I knew that you would. In my dream, you know I ain't got time, baby, for another crisis actor with soulless eyes.
My buddy, my buddy and me.
Telecommunications Act of 1996.
96, y'all.
Gonna filter your eyes and scrub your mind.